single penny in her pocket was supposed to be a promise of safety. Instead, it became a heartbreaking symbol of a young woman's journey into the dark. For Morgan Bauer, 19 was an age of dreams and decisive action. She possessed a restless energy that a small South Dakota hometown could no longer contain. The tattoo on her wrist declared a bold philosophy: live without fear. Friends described her as a force of nature, utterly convinced she was ready to carve out a life on her own terms. The plan was impulsive but felt destined. She would find a new beginning in a sprawling metropolis, a world away from the familiar. It was this digital search that led her to an ad for a housekeeper and roommate in Atlanta, a seemingly perfect solution that offered both a roof and a chance to prove her independence. On a cold February day in 2016, with just $20 borrowed from a friend, she left her quiet South Dakota town behind. Her mother, Cheryl, fought back tears at the airport, pressing a single penny into her daughter's hand as a lucky charm, a tiny, tangible shield. Cheryl knew the broad strokes of Morgan's plan, including the Craigslist arrangement. It was a leap of faith, but Morgan was an expert at leaps. But that fragile plan shattered almost immediately upon landing. The reality of her new situation collided with expectation within a single day. Following a tense and unexplained argument, Morgan found her bags unceremoniously dumped on the curb. She was stranded, but her pride was a fiercer force than her fear. Refusing to admit defeat and return home a failure, she used her limited funds to check into a budget motel. She assured worried friends over the phone that this was just a minor setback. She was waiting for an expected tax refund to hit her account, she explained, and once it did, she'd be back on track. Facing immediate financial pressure, Morgan applied for waitressing jobs but was repeatedly hampered by missing paperwork she hadn't brought from home. Eating income fast, she found temporary work as a dancer at a club north of Atlanta, a place called the Gold Rush in Hall County. And on the night of February 25th, after finishing her shift, she left the Gold Rush with a coworker, a young woman named Riley Sloan, and Riley's boyfriend, Alex Vance. They offered her a ride. And Morgan, likely tired and seeing a friendly face, accepted. And then, just 2 weeks after her hopeful arrival in Georgia, Morgan Bauer vanished from the face of the earth. The silence that followed was profound and utterly uncharacteristic. Her vibrant social media accounts fell completely and ominously silent. Her closest friend was met with unanswered messages that simply showed us delivered. Her phone pinged for the last time and then went permanently dead. Dissolving her digital tethers to the world, the vibrant, connected young woman had been swallowed by a void. For her to go completely dark on every platform, that was a 5-alarm fire in my soul. Her mother Cheryl would later say, but Cheryl had been apprehensive about the Atlanta move from the start. A mother's intuition whispering warnings. Initially, Atlanta police, overwhelmed with cases, suggested Morgan was a young adult who may have simply chosen to disconnect, perhaps overwhelmed by the pressures of her new life. But her family knew this narrative was a profound mistake. This particular silence, they argued, was not the quiet of someone starting over. It was a scream stifled. Had she encountered danger at the club? Had something happened in one of the anonymous motel rooms she was cycling through? The questions were endless and terrifying. As the official investigation moved slowly, a digital army mobilized. A Find Morgan Bauer Facebook group swelled to over 13,000 members. Strangers shared her flyer across platforms, dissected her last known movements, and offered both support and speculation. Family drained savings to fund billboards that plastered the highways with Morgan's smiling, hopeful face. They hired a private investigator with a high-profile reputation, hoping his resources could jumpstart the stalled police effort. The investigator focused intensely on strange peripheral activity on Morgan's social media, not posts from her, but from a sprawling public form attached to her name, where thousands posted tips, alleged sightings, and truly vicious rumors about her lifestyle. The online search became a double-edged sword and a source of potential leads and the river of tossing twists. Gerald was forced to become a public advocate of a spiel for her daughter's marriage. She really did outline basic human kindness. This isn't a story about a girl who made a mistake, more walked into a dangerous situation blindly she would. This is a... Whether missing you, a Biego needs to be found. She is loved, she is valued. She deserves every effort to bring her. The fight was now on two fronts, against the mystery of her disappearance and against the callous judgment of strangers. The official investigation began to tighten its focus on that critical date, February 25th. By then, the digital breadcrumbs told a confusing and contradictory story. While her last confirmed human contact was at the club north of Atlanta, her cell phone's final signal pinged off a tower in Porterdale, Georgia, a small town nearly 80 miles away in a different direction entirely. This geographical disconnect created a baffling puzzle. Why would she be there? How did she get there? The questions pointed back to the only solid lead investigators had, the couple she was last seen with, Alex Vance and Riley Sloan. Alex and Riley claimed they had driven Morgan to a Stitco gas station in Covington, dropped her off, and watched as she got into a green Mitsubishi Eclipse with an unknown male. Their story was designed to place Morgan's fate into the hands of a phantom stranger. But for detectives, their narrative was already beginning to strain against circumstantial evidence. Months slipped into years with no tangible answers. The case grew cold, but Carol's resolve did not. She became a fixture at community events in Atlanta, handing out weathered flyers at street fairs and on college campuses. Her hope, a fragile but stubbornly persistent flame. "We will never stop looking. We will never stop saying her name," she told a local news reporters, her eyes holding a mixture of profound grief and steely determination. The family increased a reward for information to $10,000, testament to their draining resources and undiminished love. Then, 7 long years after Morgan disappeared, a digital ghost resurfaced, changing everything. Sharp-eyed investigator, re-examining every shred of digital evidence, discovered an old Instagram video that had been misfiled or overlooked. It was posted not on February 25th, but on February 26th. The video, shaky and brief, showed Morgan herself, walking along a path in Yellow River Park, located in Porterdale. This was not a cached memory or an old upload. It was a post created after she was supposedly missing. This single piece of data violently shifted the entire timeline of the investigation. Implications were seismic. The official disappearance date was wrong. Morgan had been alive and acting a full day later than anyone believed. Even more critically, a frame-by-frame analysis suggested a figure was walking behind her just at the edge of the shot. And with chilling precision, mapping software showed the park was less than a mile from a rented house where Alex Vance had lived at the time. This new evidence didn't just fill a gap. It shattered the couple's carefully constructed alibi. If Morgan was alive and in Porterdale on the 26th and near Alex's former home, their gas station story was a deliberate fabrication. The video transformed them from witnesses to central suspects. The digital ghost had pointed a damning finger. 7 years of agonizing silence and bureaucratic inertia were ending with a search warrant. In late July of 2023, FBI and local law enforcement descended on rural Porterdale. The scene was methodical intensity. Forensic teams in white suits scoured the modest house and overgrown land. The current owners, utterly bewildered, were cooperative but horrified as their home became the epicenter of a national news story. Gerald, watching from afar, was kept in the painful loop by investigators. Gerald said publicly, demonstrating grace amidst her own turmoil. "My heart goes out to everyone affected, especially the family living there now. They must be living a nightmare, too, after all this time. I feel in my heart I already know what they'll find. I prepared myself to go to Atlanta and finally bring my daughter home." What they found in the following days transformed a long, cold missing persons case into an active and grim homicide investigation. Dental records confirmed the unbearable truth. They were Morgan's. The legal machinery, now armed with physical evidence, moved with swift purpose. Within weeks, arrests were made. Alex Mance was tracked down in Los Angeles. Riley Sloan was arrested in Illinois. Both were extradited to Georgia and held without bail. The casual lies now replaced by the severe gravity of murder charges. The penny for luck had not been enough. In the wake of the arrests, stories began to unravel. Riley initially clung to a revised story, claiming she had merely walked into a bedroom at the Porterdale house and discovered Morgan's body. Cold and not breathing, it had been too frightened to come forward. Alex, however, under the pressure of undeniable evidence and the prospect of a death penalty case, provided authorities with a confession of horrific, almost unthinkable violence. The courtroom, during subsequent hearings, became a theater of the macabre. Prosecutors detailed a gruesome sequence of events. After returning to the Porterdale house, Morgan was strangled. Her body was then dismembered and burned in an effort to destroy evidence. Alex Vance pleaded guilty to a suite of charges, including malice murder, tampering with evidence, and the particularly grotesque charge of necrophilia. In exchange for taking the death penalty off the table, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The horror deepened. As part of his proffer for the plea deal, Vance alleged that he and Riley had consumed parts of Morgan's remains. A claim so shocking prosecutors noted it, but explicitly stated it was not independently verified for the purposes of the plea. The state also signaled its intention to introduce, at Riley's pending trial, evidence of her alleged fascination with the occult and serial killers, including social media posts and videos where she discussed death and the macabre. One such video, sources hinted, showed her holding an object alleged to be a severed head. The judge would have to rule on the admissibility of this disturbing digital footprint. For Morgan's shattered family, pursuit of justice became a journey into a heart of darkness they could never have imagined. The legal outcomes, while providing a measure of accountability, could never restore what was lost. Morgan has now been missing from our lives longer than she was physically in them. We were robbed of every single milestone. Her 21st birthday, career successes, maybe a family of her own. The vibrant young woman we knew has been replaced by a story of horror. The candlelight vigil held after the arrests, Cheryl found a moment of poignant reflection amidst the pain. Surrounded by supporters holding flickering flames, she said, "In the glow of these candles, I choose to see reflections of my daughter's beautiful spirit, a light of joy, of laughter, and of unconditional love that can never be fully extinguished. It was a light that 7 years of lies and 2 years of evil could not completely snuff out. Let us honor her memory not by dwelling in the darkness that took her, but by living our own lives with the same fierce courage and love she showed. The penny for luck, the dream of a new beginning, the 7-year wait for a terrible truth. Morgan Bauer's story is a chilling mosaic of modern vulnerability, digital detective work, and the unimaginable depths of human cruelty contrasted with the enduring, resilient power of a family's love. It is a reminder that behind every cold case statistic is a universe of stolen potential and a network of people for whom the word closure is a foreign and often unattainable concept. This story impacted you. Please like this video. It truly helps our channel, Lines of Thought, to keep bringing you these important, deeply researched narratives. Thank you for watching, for remembering Morgan,